Good afternoon. Hamilton police are investigating a deadly double shooting in Stony Creek.
2 men were fatally shot early this morning, and police are trying to track down whoever is responsible for pulling the trigger. CB24's Steve Ryan's been following the investigation and joins us live with more. Steve.
So police responded to this area near Candlewood Drive and Featherwood Drive at 2:30 this morning regarding the sound of gunshots. When they arrived, they scoured the area and they located 2 men. Both had gunshot wounds. Both were rushed to a local hospital where both succumbed to their injuries. So Hamilton police are now investigating this as a homicide. They have been in this area throughout the morning. Canvass is going on right now, and there's a very large crime scene set up as well. We did speak with residents earlier on today with their reaction as well, and here's some of what we were told.
There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on around here in the past few years, and we've had the SWAT team here a couple times, but other than that, most times it's okay, but recently it hasn't been.
We've made tons of phone calls about little crimes that are happening around here, and when we go to follow up, it always seems like these young kids get away with a slap on the wrist, and I think it's time for some more serious enforcement. I don't know exactly who is involved today, but it's really sad to hear that a couple people have passed away.
No information regarding the motive, whether or not this was targeted or random, nor do we know the relationship yet between the 2 deceased. We will get information this afternoon when Hamilton police hold a press conference at 1:30. We, of course, will cover that live. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Steve. 2 men have been charged in connection with an investigation into youth trafficking in Toronto and Hamilton. 27-year-old Shamar Walters of Toronto and 20-year-old Ethan Ganga Singh of Brampton are facing several charges. Police say the investigation began in May after they received a tip that several young people were being trafficked. Police say Walters has been held for a bail hearing, while Ganga Singh appeared in court on Monday and was released.
Still to come, the CNE is hosting its annual job fair today. We'll have more on the expanded number of employers a little later in the newscast. Well, city councillors are taking part in the final council meeting before the municipal election in October.
A number of items are on the agenda, including the city's push for the province to return land expropriated for the Billy Bishop Airport expansion. CB24's Beatrice Vaisman joins us live from City Hall with more on this meeting. Beatrice.
Nathan, Andrea, good afternoon. I mean, this is really the last chance for city councillors to have a debate to discuss, important matters here in council chambers before going out and trying to convince Torontonians why they should keep their jobs. For those who are running for re-election, the motion up right now is the mayor and deputy mayor's emergency motion that was put forward after the federal government's decision a couple of days ago now to reject the province's bid to expand the Billy Bishop Airport. I mean, the name of this motion says it all. It's called the Stop the Province's Land Grab, Give Toronto Island and Parkland Back. So you might remember the Ford government kind of took over Toronto's stake in the tripartite agreement with the Port Authority and the federal government in hopes of bringing jets to Billy Bishop. The premier arguing it would bring thousands of jobs and billions to the economy. The federal government kind of started a petition. Tens of thousands of people had their say, and the feds said they heard loud and clear that people did not want jets on the island airport, and so they declined the plan that the province had put forward. Not really a plan, the proposal that the province had put forward. And now the mayor and the deputy mayor want the province to give back the land that they expropriated. That includes the Toronto Islands and Little Norway Park as well. Here's a bit of what we heard from the mayor and from city councillor Alejandro Bravo.
The people have spoken out. The people have said waterfront belongs to the people of Toronto, and the federal government has also spoken out. No airport expansion. No means no. And I thought that was very clear.
People power does matter. There are federal by-elections coming. There's always going to be a reason for people to band together, and they want to see their municipal government represent them, and they want to see their mayor speak very clearly about where she stands. We're united as a council. We want to make sure that Toronto's treated fairly. We should be at the table and not be the meal, and that's going to be consistently what we do here. I think it's important to continue to raise that voice.
It doesn't sound like, though, Andrea and Nathan, that the provincial government has any intention to give back the land to the city. In fact, we heard from Transport Minister Pravneet Sarkaria earlier this week saying that the province still plans to push forward with a proposal to expand the airport. The province isn't giving up. And so that's the key item. It's up for debate right now. A debate over data centers and grocery pricing is also going to be on the agenda. That likely will be pushed to tomorrow. And of course, FIFA, the hindsight, the postmortem, if you will, Nathan and Andrea. Was it fiscally worth it for the City of Toronto? Council spent months before the big event came here to our city looking at how to mitigate the costs. But did Toronto manage to turn any profit? We'll find out when staff deliver their report as well. Reporting live at Toronto City Hall, I'm Beatrice Vaisman. Back to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Beatrice. Former federal Conservative Cabinet Minister Chris Alexander is entering Toronto's mayoral race. Alexander officially registered to run this morning. He was joined by his family. He was elected as the Conservative MP in Ajax, Pickering in 2011. He served as Minister of Citizenship and Immigration in Prime Minister Stephen Harper's government from 2013 to 2015.
My passion for Toronto deepened starting in 2022 when we started to live here full time again. Raising 3 kids here, they're in TDSP schools. We know the challenges firsthand. I know, having grown up here, what the city looks like when it's doing great things, when Big Bertha is putting that last piece on the CN Tower, and we're cutting edge in so many ways. I know firsthand from what my family tells me, my friends tell me, what I see with my own eyes, that we are slightly adrift.
Mayoral candidate Brad Bradford offers his thoughts on Alexander entering the race earlier today.
Like a lot of Torontonians, I had never heard of him. When I looked him up, what I saw was pretty concerning. This was a guy who stood up on a national stage and called for a cultural, barbaric practices snitch line. And, it sunk the Conservative Party's prospects in that election. But I think even more important, it was deeply hurtful to different communities here in Canada, particularly the Muslim community. And in the most diverse city in the world, somebody who harbors those views, I think that makes you unfit for this office.
Voters are set to head to the polls on October 26th.
A new poll indicates Olivia Chow has an 8-point lead in the city's mayoral race. The poll from Liaison Strategy shows Chow with 49% support among decided voters. Meanwhile, support for Councillor Brad Bradford is at 41%. Just over half of respondents say they approve of the job Chow is doing. However, voters are split on whether they think Toronto is heading in the right direction. 46% say they agree with the city's direction, while the same number disagree.
To be fair, have the full platforms been released yet? No. Sure. Has there been a debate? Not yet. But, even so, a lot of people have already made up their minds. We found in some of our other research that for those who are super keeners, always vote, have a 100% voting record, they will already decide who they're voting for before the summer is over. So for those, alpha voters, they've got another month, and then we expect most of them will have made up their mind. So Chris Alexander is sort of entering in that right window of time.
This latest survey was collected last weekend before Chris Alexander confirmed his intention to run.
A motion going before Mississauga City Council today calls for a pause on building any new data centers in the city. The motion put forward by Councillor Martin Reid calls for an interim bylaw to temporarily ban the development of data centers for up to a year. That would allow city staff to review planning policies, zoning regulations, and development approval frameworks.
A new service has connected more than 15,000 people in the city to family doctors. Midwest Toronto recently launched 2 new services aimed at improving access to primary care. The health team serves neighborhoods from Casa Loma to Exhibition Place. They connect patients with a team of clinicians who can provide services like mental health counseling and nutrition support. A primary care liaison assists people in connecting with family doctors. Of the more than 15,000 patients the organization has served so far, 9,000 had been waiting for a family doctor since before January of last year.
Starting today, the city is partially closing a major downtown artery for TTC track replacement. The intersection of Yonge and College will be partially closed until mid-August. The city will also complete sewer work in the area during the closure. While the work is happening, the 506 Carlton streetcar will reroute via Dundas, and a replacement bus will run between Spadina Station and Broadview and Gerrard.
The Canadian National Exhibition is hosting its annual job fair today as the X prepares to return for another year.
This time, a number of other employers are also on hand looking to fill out their ranks. CTV's John Musselman is not there looking for a job, but he's talking to job seekers and joins us live now with more. John.
Andrea, you would not believe the lineup here this morning. We just saw it queued up right outside the building. Now, this is very important for young people trying to land that first job. We'll show you some of that video of the lineup now. The queue right out the door. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people waiting to get inside this job fair just to get a chance for one of the jobs at the CNE this year. They're looking to hire about 5,000 people. Now, we're hearing more than 50,000 applicants came in this year for these summer jobs at the CNE. Now, we did have a chance to speak to some of the people who were lining up as early as 5:30 this morning to get in. Here's what they had to tell us.
When you come early, you'd have lots and more time to decide what you want, look around, and it does end at 2, so you have plenty of time.
You know what they say, early bird gets the worm, so you got to make sure you get your spot, get that job, got to get that summer money, and saving up for university, all that, you know.
What I'm expecting to see today is a lot of people here, but that's why we came early, because it shows that we're motivated.
Be one of the first people in line because we knew there was probably going to be so many people here, so we just wanted to be able to get in fast.
And we can tell you there's still a huge lineup here as people are filing into this job fair. They're here with their resumes. They're handing them in to potential employers. Some people have been hired right on the spot here, so they're quite pleased. Others say they're being told to wait a couple of days and then they'll find out. This job fair goes until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Well, more news in a moment. First, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. I think we are looking over at, I'm not sure what that building is. Someone help me out there. What is it?
That's near Toronto Stadium.
That's the Toronto Exhibition, Toronto Stadium. I thought so because that's where John is, and so I don't think that's the building where he is. So, Lindsay, it looks lovely for those poor kids who are waiting outside. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like hoping to get a job, and then, you arrive, it closes at 2. People arriving now see that long line, but at least if they're outside, they have some good weather.
I know. Best of luck to all of them, Andrea, and it is a pretty nice day to be spending some time outside, whether you are in line or not. Pretty nice day here in the neighborhood. In most parts of the GTA, we do have a bit of cloud cover in Niagara region, and it is still raining. Kingston, Thousand Islands, Prince Edward County, but elsewhere, glorious sunshine and a northerly breeze today that's making it feel nice and comfortable out there, although gusts are close to about 50 kilometers per hour right now. Temperature-wise, 25 degrees. Very nice. Feels like 28 once you factor in the humidity. We are at a 7 on the UV index in Toronto. There's lots of sunshine across southwest Ontario, central portions of the province, little less in the way of sun around the nation's capital where that rain continues. But today at a glance for the city of Toronto, 26 degrees, feeling more like 31. Those breezy north winds are going to be with us through the rest of the day. And hey, tomorrow's looking like a pretty good one too. So we'll talk about that, plus your long weekend weather forecast. It's all ahead. For now, Nathan, over to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Wildfires continue to burn across the country, with officials in British Columbia saying the situation is intensifying near the community of Clinton. Fires have forced the evacuation of the community as surrounding areas continue to burn overnight. Now there's concern about severe storms in the forecast, with a yellow thunderstorm alert in effect for parts of BC's Cariboo region. Wildfire smoke continues to impact air quality across that province. And here in Ontario, the latest update from the province says 11 new wildland fires are confirmed in the northwestern region. On Tuesday, that brought the number of active blazes there to 122, with 35 located in the northeast, and no new fires confirmed there yesterday.
The federal government plans to spend $1.6 billion to replace 45 of Via Rail's aging locomotives and another $357 million to build a new assembly plant and maintenance facility.
This announcement is about far more than new trains. It's about building our country, supporting our workers, supporting passengers, creating good jobs, and developing expertise right here in Canada.
36 of the locomotives will be built in Canada by a Swiss-based company, the other 9 in Spain. They are expected to be the first hybrid trains in North America. The first ones are expected to enter service by 2031. The trains will replace the Via Rail's fleet across the country, except for the Windsor-Quebec City corridor. That is where Ottawa is planning a high-speed rail line. Sources say 11 members of Premier Doug Ford's caucus insist there are too many unanswered questions about the proposed project, and Eastern Ontario voices are not being heard.
A new report from IBM is outlining how data breaches are becoming more costly for Canadian companies. And CTV's Scott Hurst joins us with a closer look at the report. And Scott, it's no secret these breaches can be costly.
They're costly and they're adding up more and more every year, Nathan. Good afternoon. It seems like technology is infiltrating every part of our lives. It's hard to get away from it. And nowadays, things are becoming much more interconnected. And that does come at a cost. Data breaches are becoming much more costly for Canadian companies. That's according to this new report from tech giant IBM. It shows organizations were forced to pay an average of $7.1 million per data breach in 2026. That's up from just under $7 million the year before. And it's not just the money that's adding up. The data breaches are becoming larger and longer lasting. The average breach is exposing roughly 28,500 records. That's up 8% from last year, and it took more than 200 days to detect and contain the impact, also an increase from the year before. Of course, not just the businesses feeling the impact. The impacts can be felt far and wide, all the way down to us, the consumer, through service interruptions and having our data exposed. As organizations, as I mentioned, Nathan, are becoming much more interconnected, the cyber risks are extending well beyond the businesses or organizations that are the target of these data breaches.
And what about Canada's energy industry? How are they impacted?
The attackers really seem to be targeting energy and critical infrastructure in this country. Energy organizations reported the highest average costs at more than $9.2 million per data breach. It really highlights the growing financial impact these cyber attacks can have on critical infrastructure, followed by technology organizations and industrial organizations as well. Now, when it comes to AI, it is both helping and hurting when it comes to these data breaches and cyber attacks. According to the report, organizations that deployed AI in their security operations reported the cost of an average breach to be much lower and contain the impacts significantly faster. However, globally, there's been a more than 50% increase in AI-driven attacks, showing just how quickly attackers are also adopting the modern technologies.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
New polling on Alberta's separation debate finds a majority of people in every region of that province want to remain in Canada. The largest support for staying is in Alberta's 2 biggest cities. 78% of respondents in Calgary and 80% in Edmonton say they will definitely or probably vote to remain part of Canada in October's referendum. 2,000 people were surveyed as part of the poll, which was commissioned by a third-party advertiser called Vote to Stay. Some sports diplomacy happened ahead of last night's game between the Blue Jays and Washington Nationals.
Canada's ambassador to the U.S. threw out the first pitch before the game, with the teams looking to promote friendship between the two nations. CTV's Joy Malbin has the story.
In spite of trade tensions, that delayed Gordie Howe Bridge, and threats of the 51st state, there is one thing Canadians and Americans can agree on, and that's baseball. Throwing out the first pitch, Canada's new U.S. ambassador thrust into the thick of things. The embassy promoting this cross-border matchup between the Blue Jays and Washington Nationals as a goodwill friendship game.
It's a big week for the Canadian government down here, negotiating with their counterparts. So we sometimes have to look beyond some of the headlines and see that we've been at this together for a long time.
Canada's top trade minister on the field. You could call this baseball diplomacy, a celebration of two nations who share a love of the game.
Relations are a little strained right now between Canada and the U.S., and so we need events like this just to get together on a human, personal level.
Fans scooped up an exclusive Canada-U.S. friendship hat with a nod to the Nationals' Montreal Expos connection, meaningful to fans like the Halperns, keeping the spirit alive.
I think baseball transverses all borders and keeps us all friends, so that's why we're here.
I blame a lot of it, honestly, on Trump trying to hold power, but also on a lot of people for completely forgetting how much we both rely on each other as countries. I mean, we're neighbors and we rely on each other for so much.
Neighbors who are having a tough time of it. Who do you blame?
Trump. The administration. It's just crazy right now. So it's hard to be here in the States right now and dealing with this tension.
Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
More on the trade tensions between Canada and the U.S. We're joined live by CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Rachel, officials took part in some sports diplomacy last night, but was there a goal there?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say this is yet another example of the ability for the two countries to show the long-standing friendship between them. Of course, we had Canada's lead minister there, the ambassador throwing the symbolic opening pitch. But really for Canadians, I think the metaphor will likely end there because unfortunately the Toronto Jays lost that game to the Washington Nationals. So hopefully that's not foretelling for the future of trade talks, but it's definitely an easier way for Minister LeBlanc to kick off his time in Washington.
Okay, so the Prime Minister is set to speak in Red Deer, Alberta today. What are we expecting to hear from him?
Yeah, so in absence of much information from the minister's office in terms of who Minister LeBlanc or Janice Charette, or chief negotiator, are sitting down with in D.C., how many days they plan to be there, we are expecting the Prime Minister to be pressed for more information on the state of talks. Of course, it was last week that Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke to U.S. President Donald Trump, confirming that talks were going to intensify. But as of now, we don't have any information from the federal government in terms of what the strategy is, what exactly are they willing to put on the table this week? Who exactly is sitting on the other side of that table? So it's really a high-stakes conversation in light of what Trump said yesterday about viewing Canada as needing the United States more than the United States needs us. So we'll see what the Prime Minister has to say on where they go from here and if that kind of rhetoric really compromises any ability to get a good deal.
Rachel, before you go, we just had a story about a survey was done that people want to stay in Canada. This was done in Alberta. The two major cities, people say they want to stay. Will the Prime Minister at all wade into that at all, or will he just stick to his plan?
I mean, whenever he is in Alberta, because of that ongoing separation conversation, I think it's fair to assume that there could be a question to him on that. As we've seen so far, though, he's really tried to push the pro-Canadian, trying to rally Albertans behind a united Canada approach. And one of the ways he's doing that is trying to increase the amount of investment in the Alberta energy sector, one of the biggest gripes from a lot of the folks in Alberta who have a separatist inclination. And so we'll see if the Prime Minister is asked how he navigates that going forward.
Okay, Rich Aiello in Ottawa, thank you for all of that, and you have a good afternoon.
Thanks, you too.
A House of Commons committee is holding a special meeting today on the Gordie Howe International Bridge as the federal government faces questions about its revenue-sharing deal with the U.S. The proposed agreement in principle to open the bridge says Canada will share half of net toll revenues with the U.S. for the next 15 years. Prime Minister Mark Carney had previously stated tolls would not be split until after Canada's debt to build the bridge is paid back. Today's meeting is expected to be mostly administrative, with MPs set to talk about the scope of the study and a list of witnesses.
In the Middle East, the U.S. and Iran exchanged attacks today after a lull in the fighting. The United States partnered with Saudi Arabia to strike Tehran-backed militias in neighboring Iraq. At least 20 fighters were killed. The Saudis had accused the militias of firing drones against its oil facilities over the past 2 days. And the U.S. says the attacks on Iraq were in response to those drone strikes. Tehran also launched a barrage of missiles at American forces in the region early today. Jordan says it intercepted and destroyed 5 Iranian missiles.
In southern Japan, the confirmed death toll has risen to 18 following yesterday's earthquake. Crews are searching a badly damaged shopping mall and collapsed houses looking for trapped survivors. The magnitude 7.1 quake left at least 62 people injured. Nearly 35,000 homes were still without electricity and about 15,000 without running water. Officials say more than 8,800 people left their homes to stay in shelters where power sources were being added to provide air conditioning.
Firefighters in southwest France are battling an uncontained blaze 4 times the size of Paris. The wildfire did not spread overnight, but rising heat and afternoon winds could revive smoldering hotspots, and that could carry embers across fire breaks and open new fronts beyond the reach of crews. Investigators believe routine brush clearing work near a high voltage line may have sparked the blaze, even though the work appeared to comply with regulations. Now, temperatures were forecast to hit 40 degrees today. This is drone footage of charred landscapes after wildfires swept through an area of Spain. Tens of thousands of people have begun returning home in the central part of the country after firefighters made progress. Evacuation orders were lifted for about 20,000 people in Madrid region, while stay-at-home restrictions ended for another 14,000. But 10,000 people remain under evacuation orders in areas where the blaze is still out of control.
A zoo in Slovenia is celebrating the birth of 3 beautiful tiger cubs. The triplets recently had their first vaccination and their gender was checked. Zoo staff are very happy about their initial health status, saying all the girls are fit and doing well. They'll stay with their mother for 2 years, and that's how long it takes for tigers to fully develop and learn everything they need in the wild. The zoo will eventually name the cubs, usually based on geographical areas, habitats, or characteristics associated with the species.
So cute. And perhaps you're headed to our local Toronto Zoo today or participating in some other fun activity this afternoon. Great day to be outside with the kids, with the family, or simply on your own for a nice stroll around the park. 26 degrees will feel like 31 this afternoon. A look at the almanac. Yesterday we were just shy of 27 degrees. That is our seasonal norm, and we're going to be about that again today. Here's a look at the next 3 days. So tomorrow, spectacular once again. Friday, we now have a slight chance of a shower, and it looks like a bit of wet weather could creep its way into Saturday, too. But it's not all bad news when it comes to your August-long weekend. We're going to talk all about it coming up here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, let's talk about the forecast, and really a good start to the day. We had clear skies.
Absolutely. Clear skies. Let's hope it continues. I know Thursday, Friday, my days off, are looking pretty good. But a lot of people looking forward to the weekend, of course, with all the Caravana festivities, or Toronto Carnival, I guess it's called now. So, yeah, people looking forward to seeing what you have to say, Lindsay. So no pressure.
No pressure. I mean, if I could copy and paste today, tomorrow, even Friday, and place that over the long weekend, that would make my life a little easier. I think everyone would be pretty pleased with the result of that, too.
But, did I hear a but, Lindsay?
Alas, it's not looking quite like that over the weekend, although rain isn't bad news for everyone. It might be, though, for your outdoor plans. We have a little bit of that in the forecast, but it's not going to last the whole long weekend. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. Let's begin with another live look outside. There is BMO Field, formerly known as Toronto Stadium, and it's a sparkling blue sky up above today. Gorgeous sunshine. What a nice day to be spending some time down by the water in our great city. I do want to mention or re-emphasize again that it is a bit windy out there today. It doesn't look like it from that view at the top of Hotel X. However, I can point out the fact that winds are coming directly out of the north, and they are sustained close to 40 kilometers per hour. They're going to be pretty breezy over the next 24 hours here, but that northerly flow offering a bit of a refreshing breeze. So, yeah, it's not heating us up too much. We've got the gorgeous sunshine. There is a bit of a humidex factor today, but it's quite nice for spending some time outside. Mentioned that little bit of cloud cover out St. Catharines, well in Niagara Falls way. It appears to be pulling away a little bit, so hopefully a little more sunshine in store for you for the rest of the afternoon. As mentioned, though, it's been very unsettled in extreme eastern Ontario, and that includes you if you're joining us from the city of Ottawa. Elsewhere, though, gorgeous sunshine. Perfect day to be spending some time at the cottage or a campground, the beach communities along the shoreline of Lake Erie and Lake Huron. Looking great today. Southern Georgian Bay. Yes, even with that northerly breeze, it's probably quite pleasant by the water today. Very unsettled, though, stateside, the northeastern seaboard of the U.S. This low is essentially stalled, so we might get a little bit of cloud cover draping into eastern sections of the GTA through this afternoon. But it is expected to be a dry, short-range forecast for us here in Toronto. There's Thursday. Friday, we now have a slight chance of a shower in the afternoon. Let me show you what that looks like. So there's around 4 p.m., just a heads up there. Should be quick passing. And then Saturday, this is about as far as we can go with our forecast radar model right now, but the chance of scattered wet weather is going to be there. And then Sunday is still looking a little unsettled too. 25 degrees at this hour at Pearson Airport. We expect to climb to a high of around 26 degrees. Gorgeous evening on tap. Overnight tonight, we're dropping to a low near 16 under a clear sky. There's tomorrow, 27 degrees, humidex 31, and it's looking quite gorgeous right across our province. So nice day tomorrow to proceed with those outdoor plans. Little bit of a different story as mentioned over the weekend. The chance of showers for both Saturday and Sunday now. Daytime highs in the mid-20s, so not perhaps as hot as it could be for the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. I think it's still going to be a great celebration. And then Monday for the civic holiday, we are back into a mix of sun and cloud with a seasonal high of 27. I'll send it over to you, Andrea.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, we heard the Blue Jays lost their friendly yesterday, but now they'll be looking for a series win this afternoon when they wrap up their 3-game set with the Washington Nationals.
No!
Danny walked it.
Starter Shane Bieber was only able to record 2 outs in the first inning. He was pulled after walking 6 batters and allowing 4 runs. However, the Jays managed to rally late but ultimately fell short, losing the game 8-6. Meanwhile, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had to leave the game in the 4th inning due to right hamstring tightness. The 27-year-old has struggled this season, hitting just 6 home runs. Trey Savage will get the start for the Jays this afternoon, with first pitch set for 1:05 p.m. in Washington, D.C.
The Tampa were looking to bounce back from 3 straight losses before the All-Star break when they took on the Minnesota Lynx last night.
Pressure, Nurse. Hand off to Almont. Puts it up, knocks it down. Almont has been so consistent.
The Tampa were able to keep the game close early, but the Lynx took the lead in the second quarter and never looked back. They ended up winning the game 100-93. The 2 teams will face off again tomorrow night at Coca-Cola Coliseum.
AFC Toronto was in action last night hosting the Calgary Wild.
And most importantly, looking to give AFC Toronto the lead, and it is into the bottom corner, and AFC Toronto leads at home.
Following the scoreless first half, AFC Toronto got on the board with a penalty kick in the 50th minute. That would be the only goal as the team held on for a 1-0 victory. AFC Toronto will be back on the pitch on Saturday when they head to Calgary to play the Wild again. A Waterloo-based dragon boat team made up entirely of breast cancer survivors is preparing for the opportunity of a lifetime.
They'll compete alongside thousands of other survivors from around the world next month. But as CTV's Spencer Turcotte reports, they're hoping for some help to cross a financial finish line.
Every stroke tells a story of survival.
2, 3.
The Dragonflyers Dragon Boat team with the Waterloo Paddling Club is made up entirely of breast cancer survivors.
I was diagnosed 6 years ago.
The cancer had spread to 2 out of 6 lymph nodes that had been taken.
My retirement plan quickly became a plan of survival.
Each woman has her own unique experience, but a common desire to help each other through their recovery journeys.
Excellent. If I hadn't found this group to support me, I don't know where I'd be.
I was just blown away and so inspired by seeing women that were 20 years older than me surviving, so I knew that I could survive as well.
The group of powerful women push each other on days they may not believe in themselves, and now they're putting that determination to the ultimate test.
We committed a couple years ago to take a full boat to France.
They'll head to the French Alps for the International Breast Cancer Paddlers Commission Festival at the end of August to race against more than 4,500 breast cancer survivors from 25 countries. But getting there isn't cheap.
It's around $100,000 to get just the core group of 24 to 25 paddlers plus our coach there.
So they've created an online fundraiser to help cover the cost of this rare opportunity, one that has given them something to work toward during some of their darkest moments.
When you're in the boat, no one's poking you, no one's prodding you, no one's scanning you. You don't have time to think about what you've been through or what you have going on next.
It's just unimaginable that at a point where I didn't even know if I was going to survive, now I'm going to be, and all the women along with me are going to be international athletes.
Athletes who have helped one another on their cancer journey, proving that sometimes the strongest way forward is being in the same boat.
That's it, reach it out.
Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Waterloo.
Coming up, a new research effort at Sinai is taking a closer look at menopause and whether a common treatment can help address some of the most debilitating symptoms women face. Details on the study just ahead here on CTV News at noon.
$1 million donation is funding a new effort at Sinai Health to better understand and treat menopause symptoms. Specifically, the study will examine whether hormone therapy can help address migraine and brain fog that many women experience. Not me. One of the researchers involved in the study joins CP24 Breakfast to discuss the work being done.
We don't understand a lot about which changes are normal, which changes are temporary, and which may signal future risk. So we want to improve women's brain health, and we have to first understand how the menopause transition affects the brain. Our study is going to be following women before and after they start a modern menopause hormone therapy, which is estrogen through the skin and micronized progesterone. And we're going to use very detailed cognitive testing and a very detailed MRI.
Sinai Health says the findings funded by TD Bank Group's $1 million donation could help enhance quality of life for millions of women during menopause.
Tributes are pouring in from fellow artists and Ireland's president after news of the death of singer-songwriter Glenn Hansard. Hansard was best known for starring in the 2007 movie Once and winning Best Original Song at the Oscars for his song Falling Slowly. His management company says he died in a motorcycle crash on the outskirts of Dublin this morning. He was 56.
Oh, that's a tough one. As BTS fans count down to their 2 shows at Rogers Stadium next month, the K-pop superstars say they won't be submitting their music for consideration at next year's Grammys. The band released their first post-hiatus album back in March. Then a few weeks ago, Grammy organizers announced plans for a new Asian pop music performance category. Critics noted that might be forcing BTS and others to choose between vying for that award or a mainstream category. The members said on Instagram they hope music can be heard and loved for what it is, rather than being divided by region or language.
Still to come, WestJet flight attendants could be on the picket line as soon as Sunday. The latest on the ongoing contract negotiations when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
WestJet flight attendants could be on the picket line as soon as Sunday. 4,400 flight attendants could walk off the job as part of the strike. A key sticking point is compensation for work done on the ground. The same issue which led to a work stoppage at Air Canada last summer. WestJet says passengers with flights scheduled between July 30th and August 4th can make a one-time change or cancellation with no fee.
The billionaire CEO of Shopify, one of Canada's richest companies, is facing backlash over comments he made about voting power. On the social media site X, Tubi Lutka responded a good system to a post proposing Canadians receive more votes based on how much income tax they pay. The proposal suggested up to 5 votes for people paying more than $500,000 in income taxes annually.
What we're seeing is an attitude that has long been held by the wealthy. I mean, they have acted as lobbyists to, get their taxes lowered, to weaken the kind of protections that exist, say, for workers or, healthcare things. They've always done that behind the scenes.
Shopify did not respond when CTV News reached out for comment. A Montreal summer camp is giving teens curious about working in the trade some hands-on experience.
CTV's Christine Long has more on the first ever youth trades camp.
Making friends and learning about pipe fittings, soldering, welding, and plumbing installations. Liam Murray says he's picking up skills at this summer camp.
Because if you're more of a hands-on person, it's a fun thing to do.
Instructors from the Verdun Adult and Career Center give their campers hands-on experience in the school's labs. Willie Theriot has been a plumber since 1991 and can spot aptitude in some of these possible apprentices.
Just by the way they handle their tools, the way they attitude, but things could change, so I train them good and they get better. They get much better.
In 1 week, this camp covers technical learning, essential tools, and safety practices.
All of our campers are from the school board, the Lester Pearson School Board, so they're all part of our network, our secondary schools. They're between the ages of 14 and 16. And so we're hopefully giving them that earlier exposure to trades as a viable study and career pathway.
A first in Quebec, this free camp is designed for curious minds and potentially future builders.
We're actually surprised that they've been concentrating on the projects, and I've hardly seen any of them on their iPhones.
Leah Birchenough says she's interested in construction because AI can't do this kind of work.
I just really like hands-on jobs, plus trades is where the money's at.
Plans are already in the works for a 2-week camp next summer. No commitment is required, but certainly this real-world experience has sparked some interest in skilled trades. Christine Long, CTV News.
Coming up, celebrating the work of Maud Lewis, a new gallery in her hometown is honoring her life and career. The work of Nova Scotia painter Maud Lewis is celebrated around the world, with her art selling for tens of thousands of dollars.
Now, a new gallery in her hometown is celebrating her life and career. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth paints the picture.
When this art gallery first opened in June, the operators made a splash with their first exhibit.
We knew we wanted to start with a big one.
These Maud Lewis paintings are on display until September. It's the second biggest showcase of Lewis's folk art. Many of these paintings represent her early work, using bright colors to capture winter scenes, farm animals, and flowers. There are also many of Lewis's postcards, which she sold door to door for 5 cents each.
They're smaller, they're more detailed, they're more personal.
These paintings depict Lewis's perspective of life in southwestern Nova Scotia in the mid-20th century.
It represents artistically the nature of the community.
The gallery is already a major tourism draw, attracting people from across Canada and around the world.
It's honest. That's what I'm really thinking. Like, what you see is what you get.
Lewis, who died in 1970, lived in poverty and with rheumatoid arthritis. She only gained recognition for her art later in life. Today, many of her paintings are worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Every one of her paintings brings joy to everyone. Everybody smiles. They speak to all audiences, young and old.
These 74 pieces of art offer a celebration of the life and legacy of Maud Lewis and her importance to this community. Lewis was born in the Yarmouth area and later moved to a tiny house in Marshalltown, Nova Scotia.
That's why the exhibit is called Maud Comes Home, Maud's Coming Home.
A fitting location to celebrate the world-famous paintings of Maud Lewis. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Yarmouth, Nova Scotia.
Ethan Hawke was in a film about Maud Lewis, and that film has stayed with me forever. It was just an incredible story. If you have a chance, look for it or look at her work online. Really a woman who went through so much and didn't get her accolades until after she was gone. And she sold those postcards for 5 cents.
Yeah.
Now, you know, her work is going for thousands of dollars.
Beautiful artwork, at least featured in that story. And we've got a beautiful day today. You could say the sky is a work of art.
Picture-perfect day, Lindsay.
Picture-perfect. There we have it. That's the segue we were looking for. Into tonight, also a clear sky, a temperature near normal. This is the overnight at a glance. 16 degrees for the low, a northerly wind contributing to that slight cool down. Tomorrow, 27 degrees, sunny and seasonal. I know this is a busy week for folks to be taking vacations, so if you're spending the next few days around Mississauga Beach, Muskoka, or the Kawartha Lakes, here's a look at what you can expect. Yes, it is going to be a little unsettled just in time for the long weekend. Of course, Saturday is when the Grand Parade is happening at the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. Chance of showers, a little cooler than it was looking yesterday, but I think it's still going to be all right for spending some time outside Sunday. Chance of showers also Monday. We're back into sunshine and dry conditions with temperatures where we expect them to be this time of year. Nathan and Andrea.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
I just looked it up. Sally Hawkins played Maud in the movie called Maudie. For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Andrea Case.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.